evening. I will give it 1 or 2 minutes so that everybody has a moment to tune in. Okay, I think it's time to begin. So this is the 4th part on Bodhicitta workshops. Welcome everyone. So now it has been 2 weeks break in Bodhicitta teachings for various reasons. You can find, and I recommend watching the previous episodes on Bodhicitta teachings. Now since this is the 4th part, we are skipping some of the steps that we have been working on and practicing on in previous episodes. So if you haven't joined or viewed the previous parts, you might miss something. And even if you have, even if you did join the previous parts, you might still miss something. Yeah, and also earlier this year I gave 4 workshops like this on Tuesday evenings on knowing awareness, which is really the bedrock of Dzogchen or awareness-based yoga or Dharma practice. Before going to Bodhicitta, the theme of Bodhicitta, I would just like to mention, since I know that a lot of Open Heart Sangha members are watching these, are joining these sessions now live and viewing them afterwards, I would like to just mention that for the last year, or maybe even more than a year, I've been working on the preliminary practices of open heart, and now I am in a point with that practice materials that I can probably publish those preliminary practices, the list of them, in maybe days or couple of weeks at maximum. So I just wanted to mention that is coming in the near future. And maybe I'll just say that preliminary practices, we practice in open heart, we practice from right from the beginning. We get pointed out the absolute nature of mind, or Buddha nature, our awakened nature. So already in the beginning we point out the goal and take that goal also as a path, as practice. So basically I'm talking about Ati Yoga or non-meditation. So basically any other practice, whether it's tantric practice or sutric practice, chanting, visualizations, breath work, whatever. All these practices are preliminaries to the great attainment of Buddhahood. So this is why the word preliminary is used traditionally in Vajrayana Buddhism, and in Tibetan language this preliminary is nandro. Nandro. So I just wanted to mention and tell you that I'm about to release open heart preliminary practices, and in case somebody gets scared that if some of you know about the traditional Tibetan Vajrayana preliminaries of 500,000 repetitions, open heart preliminaries will be very, very different. Not concerned about accumulating a certain number of practices. Yeah, I'm pretty thrilled about it myself, because I think it's quite special way of looking at practice. You know, often Dharma practice, meditation practice, spiritual practice can have this kind of hard and rigid and sort of like calcified feel to them, even though of course we work with living body and living mind, but sometimes it just feels too dry. So I think that in open heart preliminaries, and hopefully in all open heart practice, this hardness, dryness, rigidness is not there, and so that energies can flow, that we can understand our natural condition better, which of course we cannot do if we are hard and rigid and too fixed in any way. Okay, so maybe that's enough about the preliminaries, about Nandro. So let's continue to Bodhicitta. So Bodhicitta can be translated as Bodhi, well, awakening, enlightenment, and Chitta can be translated as mind or heart mind. I think heart mind is good, because if we think of mind in the Western sense, we come to think of mind that processes things and thinks thoughts. But what Chitta means, and certainly part of a really important part of our psychology, is also emotions and heart. So we are not, our minds are not only like a mechanical calculator that although it can do that, but it's not a computer, like a machine that just deals with information and thoughts. We also can feel, we can have emotions, and so this emotional feel of love, lovingness, kindness, softness, being able to connect with other people, with other beings, with life itself. This is the Chitta that is mentioned in Bodhicitta. So, and whether it's an ability, like a ability that can be looked at like as an individual thing, sure, we can do that, but really, if we talk about the heart mind of enlightenment, it's totality and reality of our being. So it's not something, something that you can kind of put into a small box or into a confinement. It's the totality of life. Yeah, I think that's well said. Totality of life that is alive, is aware, and is shared by all beings, since all beings have Buddha nature. Having said that, Bodhicitta, when discussing Bodhicitta, often compassion is talked about. Compassion, being able to relate to other beings, being able to connect with other beings, the ability to be in exchange together with other beings, whether it's through discussion or touch or however you connect, or just being with people, with other beings. So awakened compassion, that's really something. And as you know, those who have joined these previous workshops, we've been working on that through a certain mantra, Abahu Mani Mantra. Mani Mantra is the Tibetan basic mantra of the Bodhisattva of compassion, Avalokiteshvara, or Chenrezig. And in Open Heart we use the so-called Abahu Mani Mantra because the three syllables A, Ba, and Hu relate to the so-called Mahasiddha Bhumis, which are the subtle centers, energy centers that we have and everybody has, both inside and outside our physical body and our energy body. But these centers are three distinct stages of the attainment of Buddhahood itself. So this is why we use these syllables. And of course, A syllable is widely used in Tibetan Buddhism as well. But we use three, A, Ba, Hu. So we used that mantra in the previous sessions, and also in the previous sessions we did some visualization where we visualized sitting in the middle of a big sports hall or like a sports venue where you have hundreds or thousands of people or beings, including people you know, and your relatives, your friends, your children, your parents, visualizing all these beings around us. And the purpose of that was to give us an experience how beings actually are around us, using this simple visualization as a tool for that, but also to get a little taste of our larger energy body. So, as those who have worked with tantric yogas before know, that Tantra is all about energy work. And energy work is all about nadis, channels, centers, chakras, and subtle energy, prana, and the energy of deities or yidams, or ishtadevatas, as the word is in Sanskrit. So tantric yoga always is energy work, and it is very, very important to spend time in meditation, doing the practices, but also intuiting into one's energy body, into one's centers, channels inside the body, outside the body, in the aura, and beyond the aura. This is very, very important, and this is what I've already pointed out in the previous sessions, and this is what we will continue in this session. So, Tantric yoga is all about experience. I think actually all yogas, all forms of Dharma are about experience, because when our mind goes through transformation, it little by little transforms from being samsaric, deluded, self-immersed, selfish, into selfless, without self. This is all energetic. This is transformation. This is experience gained through practice. So, but having said that, Sutra and Tantra methods work with our mind and energy in different way. And Tantric yoga especially is all about energy work. And as I said, for Tantric yogi, it is essential to learn to perceive the main channels, centers, and the subtle body. Otherwise, what I've been teaching here for a few sessions will make little sense to you. But, it takes time and it takes practice. So, sitting is needed. And it's also fun. Spending time properly in meditation, in retreat, whether it's a group retreat or solo retreat, looking into these things. So the basic hypothesis of Tantric yoga is that we have centers and channels. But do you know that? Have you seen that? Do you perceive your subtle body? That can be a different question. Even if you feel the change in your being, in your mind, in your heart, even if you feel the change, but that's still slightly different from really knowing your subtle body. Okay, so I think we have about an hour altogether, so now we have about 45-50 minutes to go, and I think that we will cut to the chase and go directly to Bodhicitta from the perspective of great perfection, or Bodhicitta from the absolute point of view, which is the topic of today and topic of this last fourth session on Bodhicitta. So please take a nice upright sitting posture and forget about going into a special state of mind or going into some special meditation. Forget that. Just align your body in nice, upright, relaxed, comfortable posture. You can take a few deep breaths, if you like, to help with the relaxation. And I recommend keeping eyes closed, because when there is no visual input, you can sense the body, feel the body, perceive the body and its energies more easily. So first relaxing a few moments. Just letting the small tensions and holdings in many, many small muscles in the body, just letting these holdings, grips, release. Really feeling into the insides of the body, into the cavities, inside the torso, inside the head, inside arms, hands, fingers, hips, thighs, calves, feet, toes. Feeling the body from the inside. Not looking at it from the outside or trying to perceive it from the outside, but feeling it from the inside. So becoming embodied. This is already like a precious yogic skill, being embodied instead of being disembodied. Well, the word disembodied is often used for dead people or something like that, ghost or something. But if you look at people on the street, they are pretty disembodied, even though they are moving and using their physical body. Not that many people are in their bodies, are embodied. So releasing tensions, feeling the body, and knowing it. Knowing of relaxing of the body. Knowing tensions releasing. Knowing inner space revealing itself. And realizing that this space, basic space, is the same as the knowing. Isn't it? Is it not? So letting tensions release into this spaciousness within. When we talk about physical tensions, purely physical tensions that don't carry some emotional charge in them, when there's no psychology involved with that, these physical tensions are purely physical. Even if we practice vipassana, looking into the empty nature of these tensions, there will be no insight because there is no self involved in purely physical tension. And that is often the case for working people who do a day's work, deal with other daily chores, responsibilities. In the evening, you might feel this, body being tense and tired. But that's just physical tension. Doesn't necessarily have anything to do with, with psychological stuff or selfing. Briefly and from my heart, with love, with devotion, I would like to ask Guru Padmasambhava's blessing for everyone joining this session, for the sake of our attainment, for the sake of all sentient beings. Guru Rinpoche, please shower us with your blessings. Bless us with your presence. Feel Guru Rinpoche with you. Feel his presence. This is also a very, very important tantric skill and know-how to feel the presence of Mahasiddhas masters, in this case Guru Rinpoche. If you do not perceive it, then you have not acquired and do not understand Guru Yoga. But this can certainly be learned with practice. It is a skill. So being open, receptive for Master's presence and blessings, and taking it in with your flesh and bone body. Like bathing in the sun, the light and warmth of the sun seeps into the body, and we don't have to do anything about it. We just need to sit there, and it comes naturally. So just be open. Open with your body, open from the chest space, heart. Also open from the head, letting the blessings flood into the head, and also the center, the very center of the head. Very, very important to receive blessings of the masters. If you don't, you're not really practicing Tantra. Whether with this master or any other master. Namo Guru Rinpoche, Namo Guru Rinpoche, Namo Guru Rinpoche. Getting soaked or at least drenched in Guru Padmasambhava's presence. Giving it a moment. Here we are using Mahasiddha Guru's presence so that this natural state, Buddha nature of ourselves is revealed properly. We are doing this so that you can understand what is about to follow with Bodhicitta practice. So taking in the blessings for 1 or 2 minutes. knowing Guru Rinpoche's presence, knowing his energy and your body, your energy. Together. So, in the previous sessions, we did visualization. We will not do visualization now, because this session is about Bodhicitta from the absolute perspective, that of Dzogchen or great perfection. So we won't do any visualizations. Actually, already this Guru Yoga practice, Tantric Guru Yoga, it's not really Ati Yoga, Dzogchen practice. It is Tantra practice. But from now on, I will just mention that, as I mentioned already in the previous episodes, that we have these channels and centers in the space inside the skin, inside the body. And as you have seen depicted in many tantric paintings, tankas, these channels, they extend like long thin lines, like long hair. They extend into the aura. And in tankas you can see like this big circle, big round shape of the individual energy field of deities or gurus. What is rarely depicted, painted in the tankas, there are some that have it, but it's a bit of a secret, I guess, that the channels that start from the subtle body inside the physical body and extend into the personal energy field, they actually extend beyond that capsule, that bubble. They extend beyond it to all directions. Different tantric texts, they give different numbers for the amount of all these channels, but usually it's from many tens of thousands, like 70, 80,000, up to 700,000 or something like this. Nevertheless, the point is that there are numerous really thin channels in our subtle body that extend beyond our personal energy field. So this is very, very important when understanding Bodhicitta from both from the perspective of Tantric Yoga as well as Dzogchen. So where do these channels go to? The channels that extend beyond our aura. What is there at the other end of all those lines, channels? What is there is other sentient beings. And this is the reason why Bodhicitta is so widely cultivated in Mahayana and Vajrayana Buddhism, because every time we say a prayer for the liberation of all sentient beings, energy, prana, shoots out from our body mind and extends into that bigger energy system that we are connected to. In other words, we break our selfish bubble every time we cultivate bodhicitta. And that is big. That is really, really important. That's what we are doing with all of our practice. So when we were doing the exercise of visualizing all these numberless beings around us, we don't really have to visualize. These beings are already there and we are connected with them already. The visualization was just a little like a catalysator or like something that will help in that. But since this is a bodhicitta from Ati Yoga point of view, we won't visualize now. So for advanced practitioners, you don't have to use visualizations like that. You already know that these beings are there in the other end, at the other end of these lines. They can be felt and perceived, or you can just be without really looking or perceiving them intentionally. And that's it. That's Dzogchen, Bodhicitta, heart mind of enlightenment from the point of view of Dzogchen. That's all there is to it. So when masters of Dzogchen like Padmasambhava or Longchenpa or Chigme-Limpa, Dudzom-Limpa, numerous others from Tibet, or when many Zen masters from ancient China and ancient Japan, when they talk about non-meditation, Dzogchen, Ati Yoga, Shikantaza, just sitting, that's what they mean. This is what they mean. And a practical pointer to, like a pointer for Ati Yoga, is that when you sit, if you practice Ati Yoga, you are already connected with all life that surrounds you. And it can be used as a technique if you are not connected, if you are just sitting in your own bubble, like a lower vehicle practice, only concerned about your own stuff, self stuff, then you can just go beyond your energy field and simply feel connected with surroundings again. With earth, ground, trees, people, animals, buildings, sky, wind, sun. And if you have subtle vision, subtle perception, which should and will develop with regular practice over years, you can also perceive subtle beings, sentient beings that are not in the physical body. And I'm not talking about worshipping the sun or becoming shamanistic. I'm not talking about that. We are still talking about Buddhist yoga. So all this life, all these beings are simply there, here, with us with them, Isn't that quite obvious? So let's sit like this. If you feel you need to adjust your posture or change your posture, yes, do that. So I haven't been talking about anything special or something exalted or, heavenly or anything like that. This is the reality. This is Buddhist Tantra. Nothing special, nothing high or elevated, nothing low, not even being present. Not making being present a thing. If we try to catch presence, then we already obscure it. Okay, let's finish practice with basic prayers. You can find these prayers by going to the English version of Open Heart website, opening Open Heart info and introduction, and you can find these prayers at the lower part of the page. So, 2 types of refuge, 2 types of Bodhicitta prayers, and dedication of merit in the end. I take refuge in the Guru. I take refuge in his pure land. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. I take refuge in the Guru. I take refuge in his pure land. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. I take refuge in the Guru. I take refuge in his pure land. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. As always, feel the prayer. Feel the energy of the refuge. Feel the mind of the refuge. Then absolute refuge. I am the Guru. I'm in the pure land. I am the Buddha. I am the Dharma. I am the Sangha. I am the Guru. I'm in the pure land. I am the Buddha. I am the Dharma. I am the Sangha. I am the Guru. meeting the energetic inner meaning of the prayer with your body, mind, heart, head, your whole being. Then may all beings be free 3 times. May all beings be free. May all beings be free. May all beings be free. And then all beings are free 3 times. All beings are free. All beings are free. All beings are free. And dedication. May all beings receive my accumulated merit. I dedicate the merit to the refuge and to all sentient beings. Then join hands. With honesty and sincerity, make a bow. Okay. So we have covered quite a bit regarding Bodhicitta in these 4 sessions. This session will also be uploaded to our YouTube channel, Open Heart channel at YouTube. And certainly there's a lot in these sessions, guided practices, a lot to explore and a lot to learn. I've been doing Bodhicitta practices all my life, actually, since I was a little boy, and more formally in my practice career of 16 years, practicing full-time, practicing and studying full-time. So I've discussed about different kinds of experiences and ways of perceiving our subtle body, and through that understanding the core Buddhist practices and principles. It takes time, and more specifically it takes practice. as I was talking in the beginning of this session about first-hand experience, it won't be enough for you to know how I experience or teach these things. You have to actually actualize what I'm pointing to with these instructions. So you simply, your belly won't be filled, come full, merely taking things for, taking my word for it. You have to make your own food and eat it, meaning that you have to get the actual experience, where from my instructions are coming from. So this is really, really important. And of course, this is nothing new. Yogis and masters have been saying for centuries that you have to practice, and you have to practice a lot. You have to practice day and night, not only sitting on the cushion, but also, feeling it, looking into it, coming back to basic knowing, and practicing mantras again and again and again, all the time. So, some great masters, Vajrayana masters, sometimes it is said of them that, they practice mantras, their yidam, their deity mantras for, many millions of times in their life. Sometimes even it is said that some yogi has done 1 or 2 billion mantra repetitions. I don't know if that's possible. Maybe that's a bit too much, like aggrandizement, putting 1 or 2 zeros too much to the number. But I think the point is that, we are confused because we are samsaric beings, and there's no other way to no other way to end us being samsaric beings than practice. And if we only practice in the way that we sit 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour or 2 hours a day, but then forget about it for the rest of the time, that simply won't do it. And I'm not telling anyone to practice. I'm not commanding anybody to practice, but the key point is that our time is limited and we are confused, and this might be our last day. So, and tomorrow might be our last day. This might be our last week inhabiting these human bodies. So as human beings, we have a very precious opportunity, and as you're listening to me, you obviously have karmic connection to Buddhist Dharma and Guru Rinpoche's teachings. So this is very, very important to realize that, not taking Dharma and this human body and this life granted. There are 7-8 billion people in the world at the moment. How many of them has karmic connection to Dharma? How many of them have the opportunity to practice and diminish or lessen their samsaric situation? Not many. So, these basic, it is called 4 thoughts that turn the mind to Dharma, are constantly talked about by Buddhist masters, and especially Vajrayana masters. So I'm simply giving a reminder for you to practice as much as you can and making it a priority, because we can be doctors and teachers and dentists, and we can get nice salary, and we can fortunately have a house or an apartment, and we can have food, and we can take care of our families and friends and so on. But that's just part of our personal life. But if we look things a little deeper, we are all samsaric beings, which means we are screwed. So the only way to become unscrewed is practice, Dharma practice. And that's it. There's no other way. At least I'm not aware of any other way, and I haven't heard that there would be a possibility. So practice is the option, and practice is great. It can be tough at times when we stir up things from our subconscious mind, and we go through these rough patches or dark nights when it can be emotionally unbearable. But that's actually a good sign. It's a sign that we are doing something right. We just need to remember at those moments that it happens when the selfish mind is sort of like a bee's nest. So when you go and poke the bee's nest, bees will come out and they will attack you and sting you. But so this should happen. We only need to remember during those rough patches that it will subside, it will pass, and we only need to, doing the basic practices, calming the body, relaxing the body, and going to the basic knowingness again and again and again, going to the natural state, cutting through the layers of the mind, whether it's dynamic concentration, shouts, or tantric practices, any technique you use, we just need to keep chopping it. It's sort of like if we think of a jungle, and in a jungle there's a lot of vegetation, bushes, trees everywhere, and vines. So it's like you can't walk in a jungle. So our practice, our mind is like that. It really is. It's there's so much stuff in there, so much confusion, so much self-based habits. So practice is like having a machete, like this sword or this big knife that we can use to chop down this jungle so that we can find our way out from there. We can make a path for ourselves, and that's how it is. And obviously the analogy of jungle and a machete knife is very good, because with every strike you need willpower. So with every time you cut through a bush or like a tree, we need willpower behind that strike. And that is exactly the same with Dharma practice. We need willpower. Sometimes these emotional, strong emotions, they make us paralyzed. So it's like we want to go to bed and hide under a blanket and just suck our thumb. We want to escape these challenges, these difficulties that arise from our own mind. But all yogis, if you look at all really advanced yogis alive today or in the history, if you look at the biographies of yogis, you can see that they went through immense hardships, like just like we do. They went through the hardships, but the reason they became great yogis and even mahasiddhas, living Buddhas, is because they didn't give up. They kept using their machete. So please use the machete of Dharma for your own sake and for the sake of all beings every day, continuously. So, thank you very much for joining this session. We will continue next week, next Tuesday again. I don't have a topic for it actually, but if you want to suggest me a topic, you can do so here in this Facebook group. So if you have good topics, I'd be happy to address. So thank you again, and I wish you a good evening or good night or good morning, depending where you are located. So thank you very much again, and bye bye.